Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Chit Chat and Chill. Our organization is very much against the cancel culture that exists today. So when we have dialogue, we're open to all points of view without judgment. Welcome to the conversation.
Hello, hello, hello.
What up, peeps?
How's it going, everybody?
Good. Sorry, I'm just pulling up our agenda for this evening. So we're talking about current events tonight. We have a few awesome topics. The first one is we're going to talk a little bit about the Coca-Cola How to Be Less White training. Well, it's not Coca-Cola, to be fair. It's a LinkedIn training. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Gina Carano and cancel culture, The Mandalorian. We have a topic about a professor who came out, and a Columbia professor who came out and said he does heroin regularly for work-life balance. And then we'll probably stop there. So yeah, we can start talking about our first topic, which was and we say the Coca-Cola How to Be Less White training because that's how it's showing up in the news. I guess there was a whistleblower oh my gosh, there was a blogger who was sent pictures from someone who I guess works at Coca-Cola, and they were doing the online LinkedIn training. And I don't know what the training was called, but the pictures were basically about how to be less white, and I'm sure the employee felt some kind of way about that. So what do you guys think about?
I mean, put any other race instead of white, and let me know how you feel about that.
Yeah, that's kind of silly. I agree with
Period.
you.
Like, period.
Yeah.
You know,
I feel like
if I'm the, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, if it, like you said, in any training, is it ever okay to tell someone I need you to be less white? Like, I wouldn't even be comfortable saying that out loud. So why is it okay to put it in a training? And like you said, you can't substitute white for any other race. Everyone would flip out. Be less black, be less Asian, be less Hispanic. What? You're basically saying be less yourself.
Yeah.
It was so my thing about it wasn't just like the Coca-Cola and like big corporations. They're doing it in schools.
Right. Yeah.
They're
If it
doing
gets
it in schools. Like the New York, I know it happened of course it happened in California. I think it was the San Francisco and then also in LA. There's a couple other places. I don't remember, but I know in New York they just did it. And then so they were showing one of the parents had posted so, and it was a diagram about your whiteness and which one do you fall in and what's the good whiteness and what's the bad whiteness. What the hell is that? Like it's just completely absurd, and I just think it's ridiculously dangerous as well.
agreed.
I just my first reaction was nobody of color wrote that. And I was right. Because at the end of the day, we wouldn't say like minorities don't want people to be less white. They just don't want people to be discriminatory. They don't want people to be racist, but they don't want you to not be who you are. Like we wouldn't want to be told to be less black or less Hispanic or less whatever. So we wouldn't say be less white. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
so the author is like a white person.
Yeah.
Yes. Her name is Robin DiAngelo, and she's the author of White Fragility. It's a book, and the book outlines some of the same things that's in the LinkedIn Learning. Which, if you like looked at the post, it said to be less white is to be less oppressive, be less arrogant, listen, believe. Like, and at the end, it's like try to be less white. It's so horrible.
I just feel like there was a better way to say that.
but so you
I
guys know
agree.
my you guys know
On,
my go ahead, Michelle.
you can educate people on like discrimination and stuff like that without telling them to not be themselves or be ashamed of who they were born as. Like, you don't want anybody to be ashamed of who they're born as. So that's why I was like, a minority didn't.
These diversity trainings are getting just like they're getting very like preachy. Instead of just like these kind of like awkwardly acted scenarios that they would present to you in like the corporate video, with these like C-roll actors. But ultimately, you like everybody would sit there and just like laugh at these things and make jokes. But ultimately, it's getting the point across. I always no. Hear me out. I always tell my wife, like when I'm sitting there in church and they say something and I kind of like start commenting on it. I'm like, look at it like this: if I'm not criticizing, I'm not paying attention. And you sit there and you have to look at this video where this like awkward dude goes and like touches some employee's like shoulders, and it's so weird, and everyone laughs, but guess what? You know what they're talking about. You know what they're saying.
Was that
appropriate?
Now
but now it's like, it looks like these trainings are just like finger pointing. Like this is you. This is you. Look at this person. This is what you look like in this video. This is you.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy.
It's a little different.
And so I think racism is always going to exist. You're never going to go get away with it. But I think a big part of racism now is resentment. I think when you keep these teachings, that's what it's happening. You're going to have the white people that are forced to sit there and look at this, and they're like, wait, I can't be myself, but everybody else is allowed to be their self. I have to look in the mirror and judge where I am. But then you also have the minorities that are looking and saying, oh, wait, all we're doing is blaming white people for everything else. So I can now have somebody else to resent for my own lack of success or my own failures. I have a scapegoat. And now you're going to have the same thing with white people when you're sitting there viewing it and telling them, well, it's not okay to be you. Everybody else can be who they want. So now that's where that resentment builds. And so when I talk about like that boom in racism, I think that's where it's going to come from. It's going to come from resentment. And all these programs and all these schools, and that's what they're pushing and that's what they're teaching. They even have this crap in the federal government now. And that's what they're pushing, is all this kind of training. And it's absurd. I mean, just stop it already. Just, if we're supposed to be at this place of enlightenment where everybody can be themselves and act themselves, then why are we teaching one group of people, singling them out specifically and telling them, don't be like you, be different?
Yeah, I was taken aback by the words. I hadn't read the White Fragility book. It seems like it was pretty popular. Like I said, I think they just turned it into a LinkedIn learning course, and the entire course taken in full context is probably, I don't know what that link is that was posted, but I don't know if, taken in complete context, that course, it was probably better than just the screenshots that we saw. I'm sure the point that he was trying to make were more clear, and you can't really take it out of context. But just those slides showing would have made me very uncomfortable. And like we said, you couldn't have said be less anything else. Everyone would have flipped out. So why is it okay to say be less white? And we've had these conversations before where we've talked about how, reverse racism comes in different forms. I don't necessarily believe in reverse racism, but this was the first time I was like, okay, wait. Like, this seems a little like, be less white. What? What does that
It's
even
everywhere.
mean?
And you imagine the backlash if you're an employee in one of these corporations and you're like, no, this isn't okay, you're fired.
Yeah, I don't even know if they feel okay speaking out about it because of the year that, 2020, and to your point, the preachiness of this training just seems a little like pushy.
This is a whole nother topic, but the problem is the lack of diversity is coming out again, but now is going against white people instead of minority people. Because if you had a diverse group coming up with these trainings, somebody would have said, I don't know if it's a good idea. Like,
I get what you're saying.
I wouldn't want
like someone like one of us would have stopped them. Like,
exactly.
yo, like I'm
Not a good
Hispanic and Asian. Just go ahead and like swap that out for any of them two out for that word. Let me know what you think about that.
You need a diverse like you need different ethnicities, you need different ages, you need different backgrounds, because somebody like I said would have said, nah, dog. That's not like.
So, and I don't disagree with that, but I wonder, you know how like every time there's always a backlash like all of a sudden somebody craves racism to a company and they're saying, oh, you're not doing this or you're not doing that. I wonder if they're thinking they're trying to get ahead and saying, oh, no, look, you can't say anything. We're pro this or pro that because we're teaching these classes. So maybe they're trying to get ahead. I don't know. I'm just trying to make it some sense of it. Maybe
but again, if you're going to go into diversity training, you need to have a diverse group come up with this training instead of having the people who are currently in charge, who are the reason why these stupid other things existed in the first place, be like, okay, well, now we're going to fix it. You don't know how to fix it. If you knew how to fix it, it wouldn't exist in the first place.
Or you simply fix it by not making race a central order of what you're doing.
I mean, yeah, it could just be
it's that simple.
Anybody's hair. Don't anybody to touch their hair. Don't tell anybody their hair looks interesting. You know, doesn't have.
No, okay, so let's be honest. Some hair does look interesting. Some hair looks interesting.
But that
some nails are too long.
You shouldn't touch anyone.
Some makeup is too much makeup.
No, you can do your job, and it's not in the employee handbook. There's no nails too long. There's none of that. But to you guys' point, yeah, you just got to treat everyone fairly.
If your nails are so long that I type faster than you, your nails are too long. Because everybody knows how fast I don't type.
Handbook, and you could do your job. What's the problem?
I think there's usually in the handbook the length of the nails is in there.
I don't know if it is.
Depends on the
company. I don't know, man. I feel like that's something that's not a hill a company's gonna die on anymore, man. Like I ain't gonna be worried about no hairstyles or fingernails or.
You need to leave people's hair, nails, personal, their body. Just leave it alone.
It depends. It depends where you're working. I think that stuff can come into play. Depends on where you're working.
There's like sanitary reasons why you can't have your nails a certain way in certain jobs. You know,
right.
I mean, I get that, but. I mean, I've seen some effective typers. You know?
With the nails, you're like, there's no issue.
Hit it, clack.
But you couldn't be like a nurse with nails that long, but
right. But then that would be in your employee
That's
handbook.
A really uncomfortable checkup.
Like,
that is.
There shouldn't be issues. And so we're kind of getting off topic, but with the Coca-Cola train, or I keep saying Coca-Cola, to be fair, it's a LinkedIn training. Robin DiAngelo, the author of White Fragility, Be Less White, we all seem to agree that that's not an okay statement. It's not an okay thing to have your employees training on. None of us on this call agree that anyone should hate themselves if they're white. Love everyone.
You know, that's your choice.
That's a bit much.
Love and respect everyone.
Okay.
Golden rule.
I preach indifference. I preach indifference.
Indifference or golden rule.
I get into more stuff, but this is not the time.
Okay, so our next topic is on Gina Carano from The Mandalorian and the cancel culture. The cancel culture around this topic. So she had a few tweets over the past couple months that were conservative, that didn't align with any liberal agenda. And so some folks are thinking she well, no, she was attacked on social media. There was a whole hashtag created, fire Gina Carano, and then she was let go by Lucasfilm, and then she was picked up by, who picked her up?
Ben
Someone
Shapiro.
hired her right away.
Ben Shapiro.
Ben
Daily
Shapiro.
Beast.
Oh, so Ben Shapiro hired her to now do something else, like still movies, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's gonna like write and like direct her own movie or something like that, and I think Daily Beast will produce it, assuming
So
it all
that's
goes into play. You know.
which is kind of
That's
ironic
awesome.
that she got hired by a Jewish person for supposedly being anti-Semitic. But okay.
I
So
mean,
her-
because it wasn't anti-Semitic. It was in poor taste.
It was in poor taste, and Ben
And
Shapiro did say.
I mean, we should bring it up though. What exactly did she say?
So she said Jews were beaten in the streets, not by Nazi soldiers, but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views?
She didn't even say conservative. It's
She
not even
said-
in there.
She pulled the Holocaust to compare to being hated for your
political views. Yeah, you know.
Mhm.
I
So-
mean, it's not like she sat there and singled out like conservative, because that was like what was repeated a lot, all through social media, was like comparing a conservative to being, to being a Jew in the Holocaust. Like, the post didn't even say conservative. Like, she has conservative ideas, but she like that's it's a general statement. Is it in poor taste? Clearly, you know. But
And
I
then
mean, we've go ahead.
Her co-star Pedro Pascal also tweeted in 2018 comparing the immigrant children in cages in America to Jewish children in cages in Germany, and he didn't get in trouble. No one said anything. No one did anything. But
we
his
had
posts
to
are
sit
more
here.
liberal.
We had to sit here for 4 years listening to Nazi comparisons to Trump and all these conservatives. When you're making Nazi comparisons, people ain't thinking invading France. That's not what they're thinking. They ain't thinking about invading Poland. They know damn well what they're making the comparison to. And we've had to sit there for 4 years and hear this every day, every other news article. And not just against Trump, but like regular folks, people that supported me. Like,
Yeah.
really? Like,
But-
it's just absolutely ridiculous, and there is absolutely a double standard here.
At the end of the
You
day,
know?
no be invoking Jewish people except Jewish people. Like, no one should be calling people Nazis or comparing themselves to Jewish people, because
Yeah.
So
I agree.
first of all, I don't care. Anybody can invoke whatever they want. That doesn't mean anything to me. My only thing is the double standard. That's the thing that annoys me. It's like, you want to invoke something, you go for it.
to her credit, she did
If
not,
you want to do that, that's up to you. And sit there and say it's right or wrong.
which I thought was interesting.
I'm sorry, go
'cause I
ahead.
think she was more.
I think you guys are. There's like a delay. You guys are talking over each other.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Peter, you could go ahead.
I got that Jasmine Wi-Fi right now, so I apologize, guys. Shout out to Jasmine. Go ahead, Luke. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying, to her credit, she didn't specifically say conservative. I think she was attempting to say we need to stop arguing with each other in general. Like, neighbors shouldn't be fighting over political views. Like, we're still neighbors at the end of the day. But yeah, she said she learned a lot about why, it wasn't a good idea.
So my take on it, based off some of the stuff she was tweeting before, was pretty much, there's the division is so much, and that if you view something differently, you're being attacked by everybody, just by your political beliefs. And I think, again, this is just my take. I obviously haven't talked to her this week, so I don't know exactly where she was. Never mind, forget about it. So where it's why are you being attacked for one thing? And not only just being attacked, you're being pressured to attack from political people, and people in power are pressuring you to attack people of different beliefs. And I think that's how I interpreted it. It wasn't just, your neighbor to neighbor. It was you're being told, get in their face. Don't let them rest. Yell at them. Don't, bother them when they're eating, when they're drinking. Get in their face, yell at them, make noise in front of their house, disturb everything. That's what they're being told to do. And I think that's what she was taking it, where if you can't sit there and have a disagreement and then go home and leave it alone, then you're just an idiot. And I think that's where it was like, where is it going to stop? Where is it going to stop? Is the next stop where you're actually being locked up? You know what I mean? Because where's the end game? That's what I took out of it. Again, that's just my take on it. And I don't care if somebody, you invoke whatever you want. If you're trying to make a point, go for it. If you miss on the point, you miss on the point. You look dumb, that's up to you. But to be canceled over it, and especially because she's been trying to get canceled because like the Pedro Pascal, he has like his little pronouns in his bio, and she was against it so she refused to do that, and they try to pressure it, and she's like, I'm not doing that.
By her thing, she didn't understand it. That's by her admission, initially, she didn't understand. She didn't necessarily understand the idea behind the pronouns,
Right. But again, even once she understood it, why do you have to do it? It's like
that's the thing is she didn't. She did the pronoun thing, the beep bop boop, I think.
Yeah.
And then she talked. Apparently her and Pedro Pascal had a conversation, and she addressed it, saying that she posted it without really understanding it, and I just choose not to have it in my profile, and that was it. That was the end of it.
So the question there. So what's the difference between accountability and cancel culture? Accountability is when you actually say or do something wrong that's unforgivable, that you have to be canceled, right? R. Kelly, you got to be canceled. That's what you're canceled for, because somebody doesn't like something you say. Like who's the other one just came out? One of the Kardashians or Jenner kids came out with the tequila. Oh, well, she's appropriating. We're going to go after her. Why? Because she has a tequila?
What?
Yeah, that's the newest
That
one.
thing?
She released. Yeah, she released the tequila, and everybody got mad at her last week.
Why did you get mad at her?
Yes, George Clooney has a whole bunch of people invest in different things.
They're not the only celebrities that have alcohol, and it's not just tequila.
Exactly, and that's the difference between accountability and cancel culture. If you're coming out and actually doing or saying something that you need to be canceled for, okay, but just because somebody doesn't like with you, then all of a sudden you're canceled. That's just stupid.
It's rough though, because you lose your job, man.
So it's not that they don't understand the difference. I don't think it's they don't understand the difference between them. They just like to have the power. It's an ego trip. It's an ego trip where they can actually have somebody canceled.
Yeah.
I mean,
where does it stop?
If you watch the interview with Ben Shapiro and Gina Carano, she's talking about just even how everybody else says whatever the hell they want to say on the set.
Right.
Like, just they're talking all the other side's talking points, but they get to talk. They get to speak with impunity on that, no issues. And I'm sure we've all experienced that in our own lives. I mean, I sure as hell do. Like in my professional life as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. It's okay to sit there and like make fun of conservatives and conservative politicians all day long, and you just kind of just got to sit there and just say nothing. Just don't say nothing.
I'm like a in between moderate person by nature. Like everything about me is always in between, and that includes politics. Because I can always see the rational middle where things make sense to me.
Right.
So I get I'm super uncomfortable with where the world is, with the division that everyone's so far left and so far right. It drives me completely insane. I think everyone is insane. I'm like, it's just too much. So I completely understand. I don't think it's right that everyone is getting attacked just because they believe or whatever conservative beliefs they have, and vice versa. Like, I hate where the world is right now. I think most people hate where the world is right now.
And it just stinks because the people who control our social media for the most part lean left. And so a lot of what we see and interact with is this, it's like the same feeling. You're online and you're either going to be attacked for your point of view, or you kind of have to just shut up and take it. The same thing you were just describing, since, you know, like at work, it's the same thing online. You kind of, either you're going to post something and you know you're going to get attacked for it, you kind of are just ready for it, or you just stay quiet because you're like, I don't agree with you, I don't agree with you, but if I post something, someone's going to be like, wait, so as soon as you say that you don't want to vote for Joe Biden, it's suddenly an issue. It's like, well, I never said I wanted to vote for Trump either. I just have a different point of view, and that's somehow a problem.
Thank you, Veronica, for agreeing with me.
You disappoint me, Beto. You disappoint me.
Figure out a way to come back to the middle, or at least agree to disagree without it being to the point
Listen,
where jobs.
Just because that works with your husband doesn't mean it works with everybody else. Okay.
And just to bring it back to Gina Carano, I mean, she even said that her co-star, who Pedro Pascal, she said, you know, he's very liberal, she's conservative, but they're still really good friends and they have good conversations. And so on her interview with Ben Shapiro, she was holding back a lot, and I think it's because she didn't want to say anything bad about people who she still has relationships with. It just sucks that her
agree. She didn't want to throw people under the bus, for sure.
Yeah, her co-stars probably didn't have a problem with her. It's just this fire Gina Carano hashtag. Lucasfilm's gonna appease the masses. It's just such bullshit. It's such bullshit.
I honestly think at the end of the day, the only way to fix this is for people, especially in Hollywood, well, to fix this in Hollywood specifically, is for those people who are in hiding to just come out of hiding. Because you can't fire everybody at the end of the day. Like, I mean, you could try, but I just, you can't keep living like this as a nation.
I mean,
but I think a lot have.
Do you guys
a lot have
early,
come out.
Yeah, quite a few, but you know, this is where I was going with it. Back in like it was like 2015, like early Trump campaign. Anthony Mackie had said that he was drinking the Trump Kool-Aid, and like people started to attack him. In the media. He was like, it was like really, really early. It like almost like set the precedence, you know, because it was really, really early when after Trump had announced he was running, and he was doing some interview, and I remember saying that he was drinking the Kool-Aid. You know,
Yeah.
like and I remember people started up right away, and people just backed down. I mean, you know, and I think it's hilarious because just take that into context with what he was saying later about black directors in Marvel, when he's like, why is it that you need this black movie needs a black director with black this and black that? Why can't you just go and just hire the best people for the job in any of the movies, whether they're a black dominant cast or like just your, you know, Iron Man. And I just think it's hilarious because people were clapping for that. That's a fucking conservative value. People were clapping, people were cheering it on, and I just think it's hilarious. It's something that I would say. That's something Peter would say. You know, so
it's very wise.
If you voted for Trump, bro, Anthony Mackie, we with you, bro. We with you. You don't have to say it. I get it.
But it's messed up because people should be able to just talk about how they feel, especially it's not breaking any laws. It's insane. It's so insane and not okay.
You know what though? Back in the day, people just didn't talk about who they voted for as much as they do now. So I think like now with social media and everybody realizing how opposite they are, it's maybe starting to create some of this division. Everybody needs to shut up.
Just shut up and be friends.
Here's what your opinion is. Keep it to yourself. Vote how you want to, and let the country keep going. Save those.
We got to take it back to like early 2000s.
Just do what you want to do.
Agreed.
When everybody hated Bush, and everyone was happy with that, both sides.
We just need someone everyone hates, Joe Biden. It'll unite us within a few years, I'm sure.
Oh, maybe.
So, anything else you guys wanted to say on that, or should we move on?
Yeah, one more thing. I wanted the best thing that happened for me with the whole Gina Carano thing is my Cara Dune action figure is now worth like 10 times as much in like pretty much overnight.
Oh,
So
that's
it's a win for
awesome.
me.
Correct.
Yeah, they completely canceled her toy. Like they completely canceled her action figure.
Wow.
You know, like they just yanked it. They said that they're no longer making any what's it called, like repacks of it.
Mhm.
Guys,
That's it. Like it's
I have
gone.
to go for a minute. I might be back, but I'm sorry. I have to go. Emergency.
So the last topic we wanted to talk about is the Columbia professor who came out and said he does heroin and he's okay with it and he thinks everyone should be okay with it. It's how he deals with his work-life balance.
I mean,
I have a lot to say. I'll let one of you guys go first.
Not just heroin, but like methamphetamine, Molly, the bath salts.
He kept going.
The dude, and apparently, so he's a big advocate for pretty much just decriminalization of all narcotics. I think Portugal has tried that. I want to say,
Mhm.
I'm
not sure. I can look it up.
I could be wrong, but it's like, the idea is you money that would have went to like enforcing like drug policy, you pour that money into what's, and this is like where my opinions are, you pour it into where the real problem is, which is like addiction. You know?
Social programs, basically.
And I see where this guy is kind of coming from. Like, not everybody's the same. Like, just not everybody's the same. Not everybody's body. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. But what's interesting is there was a mathematician, very famous mathematician. His name was I have it, I think, here, or I'm wrong. Paul Erdos. And he was 1913, 1996, whereas he was around. And that guy used to go and take methamphetamine, like casually, and like he used it to increase his math production. And like at one point, like one of his friends or a colleague or something like wagered him like $500 that he couldn't just go cold turkey 30 days without taking methamphetamine. He was accusing him of being addicted to it. So, and he just stopped, and he won, he did the 30 days. He won the wager, and his takeaway from it was he felt bad that Matt suffered from his inability to work because his production went down during that 30 days.
Okay, but I don't think most people would say
That's
you can
abnormal.
casually.
Hold on, time out. That being said, he apparently didn't like, or at the time didn't like to showcase that about him because he didn't want people to think that you had to get high to be good at math. I'm not making this up, guys. I promise.
I think it's just that we had talked earlier about when you casually talk about doing all these hard drugs that is responsible for people's deaths and addictions and money loss and crises and divorces, etc. When you just casually bring it up that you're doing all these drugs and that you think it's wonderful, like he described all these drugs as like amazing, wonderful, the best thing I've ever done. I'm like, what the? And first of all, he's a professor. So like I said, how does he still have his job? And meanwhile, we're talking about Gina Carano, who lost her job.
Yeah, what Dave was saying, accountability versus cancel.
Like, what the F? You're responsible for teaching kids I don't even know what he is a professor in, but you're responsible for teaching kids. You're basically admitting that you are a drug addict.
Didn't he study that? I thought that's what the stuff when he studied though.
He studies the effects of psychoactive drugs on humans.
I mean, so why else would this guy be doing this? This guy knows all about this stuff.
Yeah, but that doesn't make it any. Do you think it's okay that he's out here saying he thinks it's okay to use these hard drugs, and also that it's amazing? It makes him feel great, And he doesn't say it's going to make you feel great, but he's just like, it makes me feel great. What's the problem? What's the issue? Do you think it's okay for someone that people look up to just be sending that message casually into the world? I don't.
I mean, apparently that guy probably literally wrote the book on it. So I mean, based on that, and based on the way we're supposed to sit around and worship Dr. Fauci, shouldn't we at least listen to what the fuck this dude has to say?
No, because I've seen the statistics on how drugs kill people.
Oh no, I agree with that. I agree with that. You know, but like I said, the issue comes down. It's just it's a mental health issue. That's what it comes down to. It's not necessarily. I truthfully don't believe, and I'm not this dude, so I'm not a doctor. I don't like to touch things about mental health because of that. But like, I think the issue is more just whatever it is that makes people addicted, whatever it is, maybe even genetically. What is it that makes some people like predisposed to addiction versus others?
Right, but wouldn't that need, like, shouldn't that be part of his study? Like, shouldn't he be aware that there are people with addictive personalities or with addictive whatever disorder in their genes?
I mean, I haven't read any of his work, so maybe he has.
So
maybe
what you're going to see a huge push of more people like him, because that's their end goal, is to legalize all this. I'm telling you, as soon as they legalize marijuana, this was the next one. Every time they do this shit, their end goal is never what they tell you. It's always 4 steps ahead, and they just keep everybody drugged up and stupid and not think far ahead. This is what they want. They want. How easy it is to control the population when half the people are high.
I do have to say something about that though. You know, that was a big takeaway that I had when I was in Cuba a couple of years back. We couldn't find toilet paper. We couldn't find soap like in the grocery stores, but they always had cigarettes. They always had liquor, and it was cheap and it was abundant. And I couldn't find like food in the same grocery store. I couldn't find the necessities in the same grocery store.
So what?
You know, when you're talking about an oppressive government, you know what Peter's talking to, where he's talking about oppression. You know, if you're all into like that whole NWO stuff, you know, New World Order stuff.
But what's the difference between that and here? Like, so oppressive government, we're like a free government, but
why was weed dispensaries considered a damn essential business?
I agree.
During all this lockdown, liquor stores, all that stuff.
I agree.
Keep the people drunk, keep them happy.
What?
And they'll do whatever they
That's not what's happening. People are being depressed or becoming depressed and suicidal and violent.
Because of the lockdowns, yeah. But okay, so if in the 80s and the 90s, when you had all like all crack, cocaine, and heroin, it was deemed as a bad part of society, right? They were targeting certain communities, right?
Yes.
And they're supposed to say how bad it is, but now you have people coming out and saying how positive it is. If it was so bad before and it controlled and destroyed so many lives, why would it all be all of a sudden good now?
I agree.
It's not. So that's what I'm saying is you're going to see a big push with more and more people coming out and saying, yeah, legalize everything. Well, the test was marijuana.
The government thinks they can control everything.
You know, and you got your boy triple mask Fauci till 2022. Everybody gets 17 doses of the vaccine, and you still can't hug your grandmother. That fucking douchebag.
Don't forget the anal swab test.
Oh yeah, in China. In China, that's what they do. They bend you over, but they have restrictions on the length of the fingernail, so you don't have to worry about the fingernail cutting you. It's just
I'm sitting here listening. Look. Oh wait, what does this anal swab do? It tells you if you have coronavirus or not?
I think that's their testing.
Ew.
Yeah. No, seriously.
With some anal swab testing.
It's
just
China,
so you don't have to like open your mouth. Oh my god, I can't. I just can't. I can't.
You just stopped as soon as you said it.
Yes. Okay. I don't even want to. And the last topic we had on the agenda was the Texas power outage, but I know that we had said we didn't really have much more to say on that. It seems like the investigations have happened. They had talked about what they could have done differently. They feel like they were prepared for like 90% of the scenarios that could have happened in their state. Not what they could have done.
There's gonna be one of those dig your line in the sand and pick a side type of thing, with
Well, I
all this
mean,
stuff.
there was an interesting thing that came out of it that I guess I'd ask you guys. So now what's happening is people who did keep their power and were able to, maybe invite friends and family over and have power or heaters going and whatnot are getting electricity bills that are over, tens of thousands of dollars. So what do you guys think about that? Like the last thing I saw on that was someone said the state should pay for these high utility bills.
So I saw the response. I don't know if it was the main provider. I saw a response from one of the electric companies, and they responded on Twitter to somebody, and I think they said they're going to have a payment plan over 10 years to pay off. So I don't think they were doing anything to lower that, but maybe they switched it. This was earlier today, I believe. I saw it.
You know what, man? I'm gonna say something that's not gonna sound right coming out of me because I'm a conservative. But like, if this was some fucking other country, like we would have sent $1 billion of aid overnight. Motherfuckers wouldn't have to pay shit. Like go ahead. And the government should go and just cover the damn bill. It's not that big of a deal. We're not talking about a whole lot of money relative to the crap that we send everywhere else anyway. Take care of our people at home. Period.
Yeah, it looks
wait, that's a Trump message right there. America first. I like that.
That's where I was going with that, bro. That's where I was going with that. That's where I was going with that. 100%. Just
the Houston mayor said that the state needs to cover the utility bills for people. And again, I feel like people weren't just trying to keep themselves warm. They were trying to keep other family members warm. So they had their heaters or, electric things running all night long, gas stoves, everything running. I mean, that's just crazy. I was like, oh my God, how does this happen? But
the federal government under Biden might not want to do it because they know it's going to make green energy look bad.
But how? I didn't understand the green energy looking bad in this.
They were frozen. They weren't producing any power.
No, I understand that, but from what I understood, they didn't have a whole lot of green energy that was like powering their state. There was some, and that did go down just like everything else. But
then why would you want more just for it to go down?
Everything went down. That's the thing. Everything went down. It's not just their green energy.
How much of the state actually went down? I don't know the number. How much?
I don't know the number of the state that actually went down.
And how come? So I think Oregon and Washington, I think Minnesota, they had a huge issue with people going out of the losing power. I think it was like on average between the states like 400,000. There goes 24% was relied on renewables. It looks like.
Okay, 24%. It says 3 million people lost power. 3 million people lost power out of 30 million in Texas.
So that's a 10%. But with these other states, these liberal states had a higher percentage. Why wasn't there a focus on them? Is it just politics?
We didn't lose power.
No, I just said I didn't say Illinois. I didn't say Illinois. I think Minnesota, Oregon, and Washington State all had huge power outages. And they had bigger issues than Texas. Yes. But there wasn't a big push. So my question is, was it political? Because remember, they tried to make a big deal out of Ted Cruz.
Well, I see Floyd.
And wind farms can work at low temperatures. If they're frozen, they can't.
Wind farms can work if they didn't winterize them. I mean, I you know what? To be fair, I can totally see how a state like Texas, like, do we need to winterize those things? Is that a cost we need to incur right now? I can totally see that. Like that's a rational choice. We do that in our homes. Like,
yeah, I think that's what they said. The article I read. Chances? Exactly. The article I read said that they were covered in like 90% of the scenarios. It's just the 2% of like craziness, and it all happened all at once, and they just couldn't recover quickly. So obviously, it was a big, crazy mess.
I know,
down
you know,
there.
but at the same time, like, you know, this is my criticism of wind, like wind power, just in general. There's a reason why we don't use sails on ships anymore.
Yeah,
I'm not wrong. There's a reason why. There's a reason why you don't use sails on
yeah,
ships
but
anymore.
it's not about, like, I feel like with energy, it's about diversity. Like we were just talking about, you can't rely all on one thing, and it's not a bad idea to have different types of energy.
I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I'm not disagreeing with that. But something like, you know, this is why you need to be able to fall back on something that's 100% reliable.
Mhm.
You know, I mean,
There's nothing that's 100% reliable.
and LaShawn, I said natural gas failed. Like my gas didn't fail, and it's colder down here. It's cold. It's way colder in Chicago than it was in Texas. You know, that's a problem over there. You know, clearly someone effed up.
Right.
Like,
Someone
there
effed
needs
up.
to be there needs to be an investigation. I don't care if they're conservatives. Like, if you need to be held accountable for it. If you
One of the
fucked up.
most. Wait, Texas is the most diverse energy sources state in the union. I don't know about that.
I believe that. No, I believe that. They have the most space.
The most
Texas
space.
Texas can afford to go and put a bunch of wind farms, like, you know,
Yeah, but if they
in
did,
vast areas of the state.
but if they didn't winterize them, because well, when I read it, I could have sworn I saw it was somewhere in the Midwest that had the most diverse energy sources, but I guess it doesn't really matter. It failed. I think people are starting to realize why with the investigations that are happening. It was really unfortunate. Still praying for people who are trying to recover from that, because we've seen some crazy videos posted of floods and frozen everything and people trying to recover. And I know there's money and GoFundMe's out there and lots of support. So
Yeah, just
we
make
don't.
sure you guys are careful about, like, where you're sending your money. Make sure seriously, make sure you're, like, double checking whatever GoFundMe campaign that you guys see. Like, just double check. Make sure that money is getting to the people that actually need it.
Yeah, I'm gonna. On that note, make sure you send to my GoFundMe.
No, we're not playing.
I need air in my tires, so if you guys can.
This is one of those topics where we don't do that. We're not joking. There are people really hurting right now. There are people who lost before. There are people with babies that are homeless and stuff. We're not joking right now either.
Didn't the FEMA packages go through?
I don't know, but either way, that takes time for people to get those resources and to recover. So there's still a lot of people in pain. We're not joking about their pain, man. Not cool.
Wait a minute. Aren't you supposed to joke whenever you have pain?
Sounds like Shantae's trying to cancel you, bro.
I'm feeling that too. This is an accountability issue. This is a cancel issue.
Hold on, but before you do,
we
need to create a Peter figure. You need to create a Peter figure so I could buy it, so it could be worth 200% after you cancel.
No, you know the difference between this and canceling? Hey. I'm talking to him and I'm saying, yo, that's not cool. We're having a dialogue and we're disagreeing, and that's okay, because we're still family, we're still friends, and I still like at the end.
Floyd just asked for one too.
You see, y'all tripping now. If people ain't paid, I'll say it's Floyd too. Not cool. Not cool, man.
Oh crap, get that off of there. Get that off of there.
What? Vegas?
Jasmine with the craziness. Okay, so anyway, all of that to say, I think that wraps up our topics for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for your participation, for your questions. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, LaShawn, for joining for a little bit. This was fun, and we'll be back next week. You guys are going to be talking about Joe Biden, right?
Yeah, and his use of certain language, certain words. Was it a mishap? Was it
just let y'all,
you know?
I'm going to just let y'all deal with that.
We're going to break it down. We'll break it down. Frame by frame, everybody can kind of decide for themselves.
It better not just me and Peter. I mean, it's going to be like Mystery Science Theater.
I'll join you just to be the person that's like logical, or I'll try to get someone else to join who can be as logical as possible as you two talk crazy.
Here's the deal: you can't have anybody logical because nobody supports anything.
What do you mean? Oh, because we're in the middle.
No, nobody supports him. The guy's a crazy wacko.
Oh, Joe
But that's
Biden. Yeah, I haven't thought about him since
for
the
next week.
election. I've thought about
That's
him
bad.
after the
You
election.
should have. You should be paying attention. This was my fear going into it, that people were going to exhale and all of a sudden all this crap is going to be happening and nobody's going to be paying attention because they're so happy they can move on and they have no idea. Hey, right now they're getting that anal swab right now and they don't even realize it. With the long fingernails.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much for joining our discussion. Be sure to go and check out our other discussions on our website at chitchatchill.com. Also, support a small business and check out our merchandise, also on our website at chitchatchill.com/shop.